Every day felt like Groundhog Day. I was totally uninspired. The monotony of the daily grind got the better of me, and occupational therapy felt like a job. It didn't feel like my calling in life. I was just going through the motions Monday to Friday to get the paycheck at the end of the week. The thing was, outside of work, I was going through this period in my life where I became really conscious of how I lived my life. It started with nutrition. I got rid of processed foods and started to eat whole, real foods. I became interested in gardening and sustainability. We welcomed bees onto the property so that we could harvest our own honey. I was intentional about spending time in nature and soaking up the sunshine. I started reading. I had never read a book in my life for the fun of it. And all of a sudden, when I entered the personal development space, I couldn't put a book down. I became obsessed with growth and transformation. I was the fittest and the strongest that I've ever been. I pushed myself beyond what I believed I was capable of. I was competing in triathlons, running events, and fitness competitions. I felt strong, capable, and energized. I felt incredible. And so I continued to take small steps every day in this process of becoming the best version of me. And yet there was still this part of me that felt so unfulfilled. The more I dived into personal development, the more I realized my work as an OT felt misaligned. I really started to question whether OT was for me, because I certainly wasn't doing that soul-nourishing, heart-centered work that I dreamed of when I signed up to occupational therapy. The irony was, here I was as an OT helping other people engage in meaningful occupations, but I was lacking a tremendous amount of meaning in my own life. On my 19th birthday, my grandma gave me a compass. And in my card, she wrote, "No matter how often we stray in the course of our life's journey, getting off course, the capacity to change course, and see the way ahead clearly once more is our most important attribute." I knew I owed it to myself to explore occupational therapy again, to remember why I fell in love with OT in the first place, to really see what was possible within the profession, to see how I could do work that aligned with my values and create a meaningful impact, and to see how I could live up to my own occupational potential. because I'd lost sight of that. And so this feeling of knowing with every fiber in my being that there was something better waiting for me led me on this journey of discovery. There was no roadmap to figuring out how to find my purpose in the profession, only a spiritual compass. And so the journey began.
Lead me along to a place we've kept a million miles away. Through the storm, keep it back from getting in the rain. And we hold on as the wind sweeps us off our feet. It takes its toll, all these bright lights and terrors on the screen. Leave it all, oh I'll leave it all for everything I keep in a while.
I felt like in order to move forward, I had to go back to where it all began, to the beginning of occupational therapy. I wanted to revisit the roots of our profession and feel connected to the original vision of the founders.
Swinging from the ropes, so close to letting time leave us in the cold, watching stars and letting doors close while we're racing light, avoiding night and carrying whispers back home.
Occupational therapy? Yes. The practical kind that prepares the patient for work that he enjoys. Worthwhile work that he can handle without endangering his future health.
Suitable recreation, when medically approved, is an important factor in inducing patients to accept treatment, whether in the hospital or in the home. Now here is an example of handwork learned from an occupational therapist and taught to the patient under the doctor's approval.
The occupational therapist explores Roy's interests. Ah, what a privilege it is, after months in bed, just to amble out of doors. However, leisure should not mean idleness. Roy learns new forms of play more suitable to his condition. A man's hobbies may have much to do with his health. And then there's Julie.
Occupational therapy emerged in the early 1900s. The first generation of OTs understood that being occupied contributed to well-being. They prescribed arts and crafts as a remedy for people's physical and mental health conditions, and most importantly, to restore their spirit. These trailblazing occupational therapy pioneers had the audacity to zoom out from pathology, diagnosis, and disease in a time that was highly driven by science and medicine to weave heart and soul into the fabric of their work. It was their ability to deeply care and view a person as whole within the context of their everyday life that really set OT apart from every other healthcare profession. I would have loved to have jumped into a time machine to have a conversation with the founders. That, of course, wasn't going to happen. So instead, I decided to reach out to the current change makers, the current theorists, and the current visionaries. Carolyn Baum, a distinguished leader, researcher, and theorist, the co-creator of the Person, Environment, Occupation, Performance model, president of American Occupational Therapy Association twice. Charles Christensen, co-creator of the PEOP model, a prolific researcher and writer, the founding editor of the international scientific and peer-reviewed journal OTJR, Occupation, Participation and Health. Leila Lorenz, an OT whose career spanned from the 1950s into the 21st century, known for the impact she made as a clinician, researcher, teacher, writer, and passionate advocate for the occupational therapy profession. Michael Awama, thought leader and creator of the Kawa model. Winnie Dunn, author of the sensory profile measures and the book Living Sensationally. Winnie has published over 100 research articles, book chapters, and books. Kim Barthel, world-renowned occupational therapist, speaker, instructor, author, and mentor. Jen Gash, occupational therapist, coach, author, and artist, recognized for integrating occupational therapy and coaching. Kavita Murthy, researcher and clinician interested in building culturally relevant frameworks and exploring cultural nuances in occupational therapy theoretical literature. Explaining occupational therapy had always been a struggle for me. To this day, I still find it hard to reduce OT down to an elevator pitch or to 125 words or less, because we are so much more than that. We help create change on so many different levels: physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, environmentally, socially. Did I say that? I can't remember. We work with people in the real life context of their day-to-day lives and help them to solve real world problems. And at our core, we help people to do what matters most to them. When I really took the time to think about the concept of occupation, I realized that our scope is so incredibly broad. We can work with anyone at any age or stage across the lifespan, in any context, to help them to do what they want and need to do. And it's funny because I already knew this. I already knew what occupation meant. I already knew, or I thought I knew what we could do as an occupational therapist, but I saw it in a whole new light. And the question was no longer, what can I do as an OT? It was, well, what can't I do?
You know, when you're in studying occupational therapy and you want to go out and be a therapist and you want somebody to tell you how to do it, right? And so they have they give you a plan. And so to a certain extent, that kind of the learning of it forces people into not really giving full consideration to other possibilities, and it's only with experience and kind of stepping back and having a 50,000-foot look at where things are that one begins to kind of see relationships and then see concepts. And
I fell out on them pavers out there. I fell down the park. I fell down at my fence. As you get older, you got frustration can creep in, and you got to get over it. Like I sit out there and I say, oh shit, I better do that job in my garden shed. I'll sit here a bit longer. Can't do that. You make a decision, go on and do it, and you'll get it done. But if you sit longer, you sit longer. I do some silly things at times. You got to think slower and do it slower, and make adjustments to make your lifestyle a bit easier.
I mean, we're all writing our life stories, right? We can describe to people where we were born and what happened to us, and ordinarily, the kind of milestones, the significant milestones in our life, and where we are now, where we'd like to be, those possible selves. And in a way, it's kind of a laying down of an autobiography. This metaphor of occupational therapists as kind of, I suppose, editors who work with people that are writing their story, and kind of, and especially when it comes to where they are now and what they like and don't like about where they are now, and imagining what these next chapters are going to be like, and then to go in that direction.
She's okay.
She keeps us going.
Yeah. To me, occupational therapy is, it's a mindset. It's a way of thinking. It's a way that we understand people and their lives that's different from everyone else. We understand the person's interests as center to their life routines. We understand that they get to choose what they want to do and how they want to do it. And that our job is to listen carefully to what they have to say and see the therapeutic opportunities inside the story. We have to trust, and I think sometimes that's where people get afraid. We have to trust ourselves that no matter what you tell me about your life, that I'm going to be able to figure out a way for it to be beneficial for you. We need to step back from that pious professional facade and say, we are human beings with expertise serving other human beings who are vulnerable. How do you want to treat a person who's vulnerable? I've gone so many places I didn't expect to go by staying on the other person, by staying in that mindset that I'm visiting their life and I want to be a good guest and a good support and a good helper there. It isn't about me. It is about my agenda. It is about my activities. It's about what does this person want to get out of it, and my willingness to find alternatives as we go. And I think that's part of it. I think that's part of what happens is people are afraid they're not going to know what to do next if they don't have a procedure. If the person says something, they're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But if you know that when you get to that point, you can say, wow, that is so interesting. Tell me more about it. Like, just to give yourself time, if nothing else. Tell me more about that. Tell me what it looks like when you do it that way. Tell me why that is a satisfying way to do it. I do it this way. I hold my spoon this way when I'm stirring, and I'm noticing you're holding it a different way. Like, tell me about that. Like, just one more question to get it focused back on the other person, and you can be golden.
Is that when you make your occupational therapy all about the client and the theory that they have built to explain to you what their daily life experiences are all about. When it's about them, the whole conundrum or the problem of taking ideas across cultural boundaries, it disappears. It just evaporates because it's about the client. It's not about me bringing my ideas and my norms and then using that in some kind of a way to make sense of you.
We can offer all the things that we know, but we have to listen to what the person's ready to do. They might not want to do all the things that are the best thing to do right now. They might only want to do 2 of them. And we got to be willing to let them have the life that they have with our support standing by them.
Due to the nature of the healthcare system and the fact that so much of healthcare in the United States is really driven with a profit motive in mind. As long as the reimbursement system is structured as it is, it becomes the process of really producing as many widgets, those widgets being service delivery. And I think the casualty of that has been what I call the secret sauce of occupational therapy, which is the understanding of individual story and a very careful, professional, considered identification of occupations that can help an individual not only regain lost function, but I think more importantly, create meaning in their lives. And, I think, as I think about it, this idea that occupational therapists have the power to enable the creation of meaning is so spiritually powerful in so many ways that, I almost see it as a travesty that people don't appreciate that.
So it's that occupational disruption that takes us to the table. It's not the disease. We build the bridge between a biomedical system and a sociocultural system and take people from hospital to home, which is life. We have this inordinate amount of understanding about human capacity that I think we don't sometimes realize that our profession is really hard to get the grasp of all the knowledge you need, because we don't just look at movement or we don't just look at communication. We look at doing, and that doing or that performance requires knowledge of person, knowledge of environment, and knowledge of motivation, and so many things that we should be proud of the fact that we had to learn so much. But when it comes together, it's very powerful.
I ran down to the water and dived, thinking I was Superman. Instant spinal injury. Couldn't move. 3 months in hospital. I couldn't actually talk because I had a trachea in my throat. So I lied there like, a stiff board with a neck brace. And then they shipped me off to rehab for 6 months. And then you come home and all of a sudden those people aren't there. You're back to this other world of where you come from. But It's not you. When someone says go to a party or go to the pub and have a few drinks, at the end of the day, when everybody else goes home and goes back to what they're doing, you don't. Because your life's different, you know what I mean? You go home and go to bed. You don't get to stay up and party or anything like that like everybody else. That's it. You go to bed, you stay there until the next day that someone comes and gets you. So.
Hello. Hey.
How are ya?
Good.
Betty
Hey, Betty.
and Buster.
Hey, Buster.
Get off, Betty. Not your turn. Want to come in?
Yes.
Come into our dome.
Let's do it.
The wall.
She's here. Thanks.
You walk in the door and you enter into a person's life. It's an honor to have that privilege. And then we listen. We listen to what they want. We listen to their deepest desires, their biggest disappointments, their hopes. Open up your view, gather information, and that gathering of information comes through your eyes. A lot of it comes through observation, through listening, through your hands. My goodness, how we use our hands, but also through your intuition, the unseen pieces of information, the feel. And all of these bites of data inform you, and they come together to create a single starting point. And that becomes your clinical reasoning that we call that holistic thinking. So many young therapists say things like, how do I get to do that now? I remember sitting on the mat watching Mrs. Bobath treat NDT, and I think I was 23. And I said, I want to know how to do that right now. And she said to me, you can only get to where you're going to go as fast as you can get there. And unfortunately, that's true, that with the increasing numbers of gray hair comes a lot of experiences that shape that quality that you're speaking about. And so I think how you lean in, I love that way of thinking, is a willingness to mess up, to sit with people. You're never going to not bring your own perspective. That's impossible because we filter everything through our own being. But it's this confidence that even if I'm messing up, I'm going to survive this. And maybe our relationship, the person that I'm with, the relationship that I'm having, is going to deepen through that messing up. And when we ask questions, when we listen to people's stories, it's to pause and wait, and not just listen with your problem-solving mind, but listen with your heart. You know, the problem-solving mind is all about, how do I fix this? And the heart is, how do I be with this? And that's the left and the right side of the brain. And so when I consciously say, just let me be with this for a minute, many times people come up with their own solutions from that space.
Got the home phone line going because it's a lot easier having on a speaker than what it is, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Trying to use these things are a bit of a nightmare.
Right.
Why use your phone when you can use your keyboard?
Right.
So you just use a, what do you call it, SMS program. And, you just send your SMSs through there.
I think one of the challenges and opportunities is our limitations in feeling like we don't have enough evidence. Well, evidence-based practice is drawing from evidence, both within our profession and outside our profession. Neuroscience is an example. And blending that with clinical reasoning, with our professional experience, and in our profession, with the client's beliefs, values, and culture. And that's not a drug trial of ABAB research. It's different. And so I think one of the ways that we get in our way is that we don't allow ourselves to have the confidence to step into our potential because we are waiting for proof that what we do is useful. And I think if we shift our view to what is useful, which is client satisfaction, the minimization of human suffering, the ability to create ease for a person in their life, then we can step out into what it is that we truly intend to do.
I never knew that I didn't have permission to discover and be curious and figure out what to do next. And that has really served me well. Even when we went through periods when OT was very reductionistic and we got into big procedural things, you know, like how to do protocols and how to, if you have this, then you get this. And I never was encumbered by that because I wasn't working in those traditional settings. And I had this sort of tacit permission from all these other disciplines to help them see what I had to offer that was different from what they already knew.
That what we perceive to be markers of distinction and features that are embodied in the other person, they're actually not embodied there. They're embodied in the lenses that we have acquired through our experiences of understanding what is normal and what is abnormal, what is right, what is wrong, what's safe, what's dangerous, what's beautiful, what's not, and so on. And so that way of viewing the world, that of being able to see that the differences that we see actually are abiding within us, what we've acquired in terms of our understanding of the world, rather than of the other as a static feature that's embedded. That's the kind of holism that I would like our profession to become much more cognizant of.
Sometimes I feel so inadequate because I come from this position of power. I don't even know what their shoes look like. As someone told me, you got to check if they're even wearing shoes, because saying that, oh, I walked a mile in their shoes, so many people don't have shoes to walk in.
I couldn't scratch my arm last night. I had to wake Amanda up just to scratch it because I couldn't reach.
Then you sort of go back and think, okay, maybe I need to partner up with you because you are the expert of your life.
They basically got to get you out of bed with a hoist, put you on a commode chair, and then you've got to go in the bathroom, of course, and you've got to do the toilet thing. You need to have like bowel care done with enemas and things like that. And then of course you shower, someone's got to shower you, can't really wash yourself. And then you've got to get put back on the bed, and then you've got to get dressed, and then you go into the chair. Mm-hmm. And then basically you just stay in the chair all day. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do I want to make all my clients independent in their daily life? No, there are so many clients who don't want to be independent. They love the relationship that they have with their family members when their family members take care of them. And that role is sort of more important than the aspect of independence itself.
Tell me a joke.
Here's a good one.
Who designed King Arthur's Round Table? Circumference.
Of course. Isn't that terrible? Yeah. Hey Google, turn the light out.
Okay, turning the light off.
And I wouldn't say that we are learners as occupational therapists, but we can always go in there as a curious student going to ask questions. And then you ask questions and then you get the answers, and that shatters your belief and all the judgments that you carry, and meet a person. And then you're like, oh my God, that is the way to live. Like, it's not the way that I would think about living, but that's not wrong.
The grand narrative of medicine, of pathology, is universal. And here's the diagnosis that we socially construct and give you. And according to that diagnosis, here's the treatment. And it makes sense because we've done all of these randomized clinical trials and prospective studies, and we've verified that, yes, that this is what's true and right. But when you then transcend the boundary into the social, and then begin to realize that, oh my goodness, people don't see the world in the same way that I see it. You begin to see how even medicine itself is a culture and has its own rules and norms and specialized language and so on and so forth. As we're so focused in upon trying to find and deal with the embodied pathology, is to really be able to blow up and just expand our view of humanity. We understand cells and neurons and movement and range of motion and all of these kinds of things. And we need to now understand those other aspects of what makes a good life and what makes a person much more profoundly. The pendulum has swung toward medicine and science, and it's still there, where people are demanding, when they talk about evidence-based practice, they're referring to a certain kind of evidence. And as that pendulum has swung that way, we need to now find ways to swing that pendulum back toward the humanities and toward the affective domain. Not to take the stance of discrediting feeling of human emotion, to say that that's not scientific and it's soft and weak, rather to recognize that that is really the dimension of humanity that has allowed us to endure as a civilization. You know that I'm talking about how we are one with the universe. And the counter to that, to that kind of holism, is particularism, where particles, you take something, it's like you take these complex wholes, and then through the process of science of reductionism, you reduce them to their separate discrete parts. That is the value pattern that I want OTs to also have in their interactions with their clients, is not to see them as this discrete bundle of parts where some of the parts are broken, but to be able to understand them holistically as being embedded in and inseparable from their environments and of their circumstances in everyday life.
We are sort of a conduit back and forth between this technical information and the life that the person's living, so we kind of stand in that space. And if we think about ourselves that way, there's so many places we can be doing our work. There's so many places. In fact, we should be everywhere. People should go, we can't do this business without an OT on the team. Like, what are we thinking? That's what I want before I die.
I knew if I was going to stay in the profession, I needed to shift how I was delivering therapy. For so many years, I thought that therapy had to look a certain way. My sessions were super structured and I was really focused on being productive with my time. I put a lot of pressure on myself to get results and I became hyper-focused on the outcome that I forgot all about the process.
Well, the art is in us. It's the ability to connect, the dance of relationship, the therapeutic use of self. And the word that I use is attunement, putting your mind in the mind of the person that you're with.
Listen to what the person is telling you. And often, I don't know, sometimes if it's out of anxiety or out of the belief that you know best, a therapist may go in with a preconceived idea of what the therapy should be, or maybe it's their favorite form of therapy to use, without really listening to what the person feels their needs are.
I was working with a young girl. She decided she wanted to go for a cruise around her neighborhood. The old me would have had this huge mental block. I would have thought to myself, this doesn't look like therapy. But I've realized that therapy doesn't have to look a certain way. Therapy can be in the profound subtleties. So to the untrained eye, sure, this would just look like any ordinary walk around the block. But to me, through my OT lens, this was calming the nervous system and bringing it back to a parasympathetic state through facilitating deep breaths and mindfulness, nature-based occupations. It was building social skills through this safe relationship I had built with her. And simply knowing that I had the skills and the training to be curious, to hold space for any emotions that surfaced, this was a game changer for me. I've learned that the gold lies in the therapeutic relationship.
When it comes to looking at people's inherent characteristics, we have to stop acting like the characteristics they have that are different from ours are a deficit or a dysfunction or any bad words. Any characteristic you have is part of who you are. And OTs of all disciplines ought to be able to see what's great about every characteristic. Every person's made up of a whole lot of characteristics. So if you like plotted all my characteristics on the bell curve, I have some that are in the +2 standard deviations. I have some that are in the fat part of the bell curve. I have some that are in the low part of the bell curve. Why do we want to like point to one and say she's deficient when Winnie is comprised of all those characteristics? Like all of them are me. I don't curse the ones that are lower. I don't laud the ones that are high. I just say that, these all are the things that make me who I am. And I think once, to me, OT's philosophy is that your life is yours. You get to pick your own priorities. You get to decide how you want it to be. And we know how to make the adjustments so that that can happen. Like, why would we make a judgment on any of that?
I want to see OTs demonstrate a fundamental quality, and that is one of empathy. Empathy. We can have all of the knowledge and all of the fanciest equipment, but if we don't love our clients, if we're not bringing our help to them with an attitude of unconditional positive regard and with a real genuine interest in wanting to help them in some way, even if they're rude to you, even if they happen to be racist and they don't like Asian people, to be able to have a drive or an impetus that's driven by something much grander, bigger, and that is this capacity to be able to try to understand and try to feel what a particular problem feels like for the other, and then to be able to then bring, if anything, if you don't have the right techniques, the older that I get in this profession, the more I believe that it's empathy and love that actually heals. If you don't have that element, then your occupational therapy is going to be impotent.
There you are, Bunny. Let's go eat.
We're seeing and interpreting the world through our own lens, and that lens is different. By definition, it's different than anyone else's lens. And I'm absolutely committed to the idea that authentic therapy really begins with an understanding of a full understanding of the client and what their life is like, what they were doing before, and what they're planning to do.
A lot of OTs I know struggle with their confidence. They struggle with impostor syndrome. The belief that one day you're going to be found out and that you're actually a bit of a fraud and you're not as good as what people think you are, and all of that. If the impostor syndrome wasn't bubbling up, if you believed that you could not fail, that if you believed that you are good enough, how would it feel to then do X, Y, and Z? And we can soften it by taking away its power, the imposter syndrome power, by make friends with it, understand it. But also every time it pops up into your consciousness, say, okay, I hear you. Just talk to it. I hear you, but you know what? Right now, I'm not going to take any notice of you.
Am I in the right profession? Am I doing what I really want to do? And well, it turned out that I was in the right profession. I was in the wrong position. If you have selected the area that you're most passionate about in which to work, it will never seem like work.
There are OTs out there incorporating all sorts of approaches into their work. Breath work, womb wisdom, farm-based practices, yoga, acupressure, mindfulness, nature, nutrition, conscious parenting. There are OTs doing really awesome and innovative things, and they're all doing work that matters to them. It made me realize that I could do so much more within the profession than what I originally thought. I started to incorporate what I call lifestyle optimization approaches into my work. So I was helping people create routines and rituals that were supportive of a healthy lifestyle. I started educating my clients about the benefits of nature and movement. I supported them with their eating and sleep habits. I helped them to re-engage in meaningful leisure activities. This was the work that I was craving. This is what lit me up. This is what got me jumping out of bed in the morning. This is what I was seeking within OT for such a long time. I've learnt to harness the courage to do what's right and not what's easy, to work more from my heart and less from my head, to be more inquisitive and less prescriptive, to be curious enough to really listen to another person's story, to their narrative, and to help them to do what matters most to them. And it got me thinking how lucky we are to have stumbled across a profession that sees the wholeness in every person, that integrates mind, body, and spirit, that allows us to pursue our passion in life.
I think most of us who love OT don't think of it as a job. It's our identity. It becomes who you are rather than what you do.
And that's why I have never been bored. You know, you're looking at me. I am now 77 years old. I am still privileged to do research and to interact with young people that challenge me every single day with ideas and ways to go about things.
You know, I never once, not even for a moment, have I ever questioned the wisdom of choosing occupational therapy as a career. I mean, it has been so richly rewarding to me in terms of the kind of stimulation, the mental stimulation, and the interest, and I mean, it has just fed my craving, my curiosity cravings, just on a daily basis. I mean, I have never even for one moment been bored, because there's always, it's just been so rich, and I feel so fortunate.
It's been interesting for me because I'm no longer in a position of providing therapy for other people. I provide therapy for myself.
This whole journey was about finding me in OT. And I realized that I didn't have to go out and get another degree or another certificate. Everything I needed was already in occupational therapy. I just had to go out and discover it for myself.
If each of us listen to hear inside the pieces that bring us delight, it's like a roadmap that takes you to that place of finding your passion.
One of the things that I've held quite close to me in recent years is human beings need something to wake up in the morning to do. Imagine you're 80, what do you want to look back on your life and be able to say about it? If you were to breathe into that question and let it sink through your body, or if that question was to sort of float out into the universe, what does it mean to live a meaningful life?
I think that the answer to that question is an unfolding journey of self-discovery. What is it that I'm made of? What is it that is my gifts? The moments that bring us joy, that bring us this sense of connection to something bigger than ourselves, they are invitations to pay attention.
Letting go of the old and visioning the new and the possible. And knowing that what we have to offer is what humanity needs.
Evolution is every moment that I bring into my conscious awareness something that wasn't in my awareness a moment ago. We can go through this life asleep, just on autopilot. But when we choose to be awake and connected, then there is so much information. It's endless. It's an increasing expansiveness of my sense of self.
You are perfect, whole and complete, just as you are.
There's immense possibility. OTs are indispensable. We just have to be willing to point that out to other people.
Lead me along to a place we've kept a million miles away. Through the storm, keep it back from getting in the rain. And we hold on as the wind sweeps us off our feet. Takes its toll, all these bright lights and terrors on the screen. Leave it all, oh I leave it all for everything I keep and oh I hope you find what you need. Before I know, I will let her run into these bones, chasing cars and letting trouble go, growing tired and swinging from the road. So close to letting time leave us in the cold, watching stars